Starting off this countdown in no particular order, we have Woody Harrelson. Woody Harrelson's dad, Charles Harrelson, was an American hitman and organized crime figure. Yes, you heard me correctly. Beloved actor Woody Harrelson had a father who was a cold-blooded killer. He was just 7 at the time when his father first went to prison. It's said that he was responsible for the deaths of at least 20 people. In 1979, that is when Charles committed his biggest kill of all time. He took out a federal judge by the name of Judge John H. Wood Jr. He was the first federal judge to be killed in the 20th century. He was paid $250,000 to kill off this judge. It was because a drug dealer was about to be sentenced by this judge, who was known as Maximum John, because he always gave out really harsh punishments to drug dealers. So he got Charles to knock him off for him. But this landed him behind bars and in solitary confinement. He was there until he was 69 when he died from a heart attack. Obviously, Woody does not want to be defined by his father's actions. In our 9th spot, we have Joaquin Phoenix. Joaquin is one of the few actors who actually grew up in a cult. He was born into the commune of Children of God, but when he was 4 years old, his parents managed to escape the cult and move. That's actually why they changed their last name to Phoenix, as it symbolizes rebirth, since they were able to leave this cult and start a new life. Unfortunately, he also lost his brother at a young age. In 1993, his brother River Phoenix died from an overdose. Joaquin witnessed this happen, and he was the one that called 911. In our 8th spot today, we have Phil Lewis. Phil Lewis is best known for his role of Mr. Mosby on The Sweet Life of Zack and Cody, and I freaking love that show. Like, it was honestly my childhood. Well, before his Disney Channel days, he actually killed someone. In December of 1991, Lewis fatally hit a 21-year-old woman. She passed away from her injuries from the hit. It was found that Lewis was driving while intoxicated. His blood alcohol levels were 3 times the legal limit of intoxication. As a result, he was convicted of a DUI as well as manslaughter. He was sentenced to 5 years in prison, 2 years probation, and 350 hours of community service. But he managed to only serve 1 year in prison. I guess Disney was able to overlook his past when he auditioned for Mosby on the show. In our 7th spot today, we have Tim Allen. Now, if you look at Tim Allen, you think, aw, he's such a family man. I love Home Improvement and Toy Story. He's a great actor. Wow. Tim Allen actually had quite a dark past before he got into acting. In 1978, Allen was arrested for attempting to traffic more than 650 grams of coke. He was arrested in Kalamazoo Battle Creek International Airport. Now, he actually would have served a lifetime in prison, but he avoided this by giving police information about other dealers. As a result, his sentence was reduced to 3 to 7 years. He ended up serving 2 years and 4 months in prison and then was granted parole in 1981. I guess that's why they say don't judge a book by its cover, because he looks like a wholesome dad, not a drug trafficker. In our 6th spot, we have Jack Nicholson. In 1974, Time magazine discovered that Jack's sister, June, was actually his mother, not his sister. How wild is that? So June was only 17 when she became pregnant with Jack, and she wasn't married, so her parents agreed to raise the child as their own, with Jane and Lorraine acting like his older sisters. So his parents were actually his grandparents, and his sister Lorraine was his aunt. In regards to his dad, we don't know for sure who is his dad, but some say it was likely June's manager. Other sources claim June really just doesn't know who the father was. By the time Jack found this all out, his mom, June, and his grandma had already passed away. Imagine how that would have changed his life. Like, he was raised on a lie. We are now at our 5th and halfway mark with Sean Penn. A number of women have come forward saying that Sean Penn has been aggressive towards them. In fact, he has mistreated a number of his partners, including Madonna. They were married from 1985 to 1989. While in December of 1988, Penn allegedly tied Madonna to a chair and held her hostage for 9 hours and apparently hit her multiple times. When he untied her to let her use the bathroom, she fled to the police station. One officer said, and I quote, "Madonna staggered into the station. She was distraught, crying, with makeup smeared all over her face. I hardly recognized her. She had obviously been struck." Sean was charged with inflicting corporal injury and traumatic conditions on Madonna, as well as battery. But Madonna withdrew her complaint a week later and has rarely commented on it since, which is quite odd. Why would she say that he harmed her and then retract the statement? So who knows what really happened? happened. Moving on to number 4, we have Leighton Meester. Now, I personally did not know this, but Blair Waldorf, aka Leighton Meester, wasn't always the queen bee of Manhattan. In fact, she was born in prison. Basically, her mom was serving a sentence after smuggling a lot of marijuana out of Jamaica with the help of Leighton's dad and Aunt Judy. All of them ended up behind bars. In fact, her aunt managed to escape prison and became America's first woman on the US Marshals 15 Most Wanted list. How insane is that? In the end, Leighton's grandmother raised her while her mom served 16 months in prison. Thank gosh she didn't follow in her family's footsteps. In our third spot, we have Christopher Walken. Christopher Walken was involved in a death that is just shrouded in mystery. On November 29th, 1981, 43-year-old actress Natalie Wood was found dead floating face down in the Pacific Ocean. She was on a yacht with her husband Robert Wagner and Christopher Walken when this happened. The thing is, no one really knows what happened to her. Some say she slipped off the deck and fell into the water, while others are convinced that her husband or Christopher Walken had something to do with it, or that they know what happened. One theory is that Natalie and Christopher were having an affair, Wagner found out about it, got mad, and pushed her off the yacht. Now, Wagner seems to be the prime suspect, but many people think that Walken knows exactly what happened. I mean, he barely even talks about the case, and on the rare occasion that he did, he would call it an accident, and also he was absent from the documentary about her. All I'm gonna say is someone knows something. I'm getting the vibe that Walken knows what happened and maybe he just feels guilty about it. In our second spot, we have Charlize Theron. Charlize Theron actually had a very traumatic upbringing. Her dad struggled with alcohol addiction and would constantly threaten Charlize and her mom, Gerda. He would never physically hurt her, but he would hurt Gerda. One night in June of 1991, he got angry and fired shots at both of them. During that altercation, Gerda ran and grabbed her own handgun that she had kept hidden and shot him back. Her shots killed him while Charlize watched it all unravel. In the end, it was declared self-defense and Gerda never faced any charges. But think how traumatizing that must have been for her to see her mother shoot and kill her dad as a teenager. And in our number 1 spot today, we have Ashton Kutcher. Now, I never knew this and I was incredibly shocked when I found out about it. But on February 21st of 2001, Ashton Kutcher went over to his then girlfriend's house, Ashley Elrin. The two had planned on going to a post-Grammy party, but when he knocked on the door, there was no answer. That's because Ashley was dead on the floor of her home. She had been stabbed 47 times by a man named the Hollywood Ripper. He was responsible for the death of up to 10 women. As a result, Ashton Kutcher lost his girlfriend very suddenly and in a very traumatic way. He was also scared that he was going to be a suspect in the murder investigation since his fingerprints were on her door, but he never was. But he did have to testify in court. Alright guys, that's all for today's video.
It's said that Jennifer Lopez and Ben Affleck are getting a divorce due to crazy demands and rules Jen has set up for Ben. She's put him on a strict diet, doesn't let him speak to women, and she wants to force him to have a baby. Now everyone is appalled at how controlling she is and is happy that Ben is finally getting out. You see, back in May, Ben moved out of their Beverly Hills home and has been staying in a house in Brentwood. He's also been seen occasionally without his wedding ring on. Now on the other side, JLo ended up canceling her world tour to spend time with her family and friends, aka to work on her marriage with Ben. But the pair have not been spotted together too much though. They didn't spend Mother's Day together, and Ben did not attend the Met Gala that Jennifer was a co-chair at. Now when they were spotted together at Ben's son's basketball game, things were awkward between the two. They were caught by Paps embracing and trying to share a kiss, but it was just so awkward and weird. Now JLo has also been posting some content on her social media that has raised some eyebrows about betrayal and moving on. Not to mention that the couple have put their $60 million mansion up for sale, which isn't a good sign at all. So what will happen to Bennifer? It seems like no one really knows. Now we have Justin Timberlake being arrested. Back in June, Justin Timberlake got arrested for driving under the influence. Sources connected to law enforcement told TMZ that Justin was at the American Hotel partying, and almost immediately after he left and began driving, he blew a stop sign. Now cops saw that and began to follow him, and it's then been said that Justin began swerving and the cops pulled him over. TMZ sources say cops performed a field sobriety test and asked Justin to do a breathalyzer test, but he refused. As for the traffic stop, law enforcement sources said cops observed Justin glassy-eyed, and they say they smelled alcohol on his breath. They said that he failed the field sobriety test when asked to do a one-leg stand and walk and turn. Now, it's also been said that several of Justin's friends came on the scene and tried to convince the cops to cut him a break, but they refused. Now, in the end, Justin was handcuffed and arrested, and the whole incident was recorded on a police officer's body cam. He was then charged with 1 count of DWI and cited for running a stop sign and failure to keep in his lane. Now we have Brad Pitt's behavior. A lot of eyes have been on Brad Pitt, as it's been revealed that he wasn't the loving family man everyone thought he was when he was married to Angelina Jolie. An FBI report said that Angelina and Brad were traveling with their children in September 2016 on a 2-week trip that ended in Los Angeles International Airport. Now, Brad appeared to take issue with Jolie's parenting during the flight, and they retreated to the back of the plane to continue an argument. According to the report, Angelina said he attacked her before punching the ceiling of the plane repeatedly. Now, one child saw the altercation and asked Angelina if she was alright. According to the report, "No, mommy's not okay," Brad allegedly yelled back. "She's ruining this family, she's crazy." Now, after further physical altercation between them both, Brad spilled wine and beer on furniture and Angelina. Not to mention, recently, 3 of his children have been dropping Pitt from their name, and one of them even did it legally. With all this information coming out, people are finally starting to turn against the star. Now we have Tiger Woods' cheating scandal. Tiger Woods was one of the best golfers in the world, but made a mistake that proved to be fatal for his career. Now, Tiger became engaged to Ellen Nordgren, a Swedish former model, in November 2003, and they married in 2004. They had 2 children together, but in 2009, cheating scandal after cheating scandal was exposed with Tiger. More than a dozen women stepped forward claiming to have had affairs with him. Now, when all was said and done, Tiger admitted to sleeping with multiple women, which he later specified was 120. Now, it was reported that Tiger allegedly had a months-long affair with a New York City nightclub host, and days and months following this report, more than a dozen women claimed in various media outlets to have had affairs with him. Now, he lied about everything before finally confessing to cheating in a televised statement. After 6 years of marriage, his wife Ellen divorced him, which makes a lot of sense. After the news broke, sponsors immediately cut ties with him, and he was out tens of millions of dollars almost overnight. Now, everyone was disgusted with his behavior, and he's been trying to rebuild his brand ever since. Now we have Amber Heard. In 2022, Amber Heard and her ex Johnny Depp had a lawsuit that was watched around the world. Now, Amber exposed things about how Johnny mistreated her, and a lot of people didn't believe her, and since the trial, she's become one of the most hated people in the world. Now, petitions were started to get her removed from her projects, and due to this, she's now moved permanently to a new home outside of Madrid. She's bilingual in Spanish and is happy there, raising her daughter away from the noise, a source said in May 2023. I don't think she's in any hurry to return to work or Hollywood, but she'll probably come back when the time is right for the right project. Now listen, I don't blame her for moving somewhere else. The trial was covered heavily, and she was made aware that pretty much all of the internet hated her, and after going through something as traumatic as that, it doesn't surprise me that she wants to step out of the limelight. Now, we'll just have to see if she ever comes back to Hollywood, or if anyone will ever want to work with her again. Now we have Meghan Markle's relationship with her father. Now, Meghan Markle has been cancelled multiple times, but it mostly started when it came to her wedding and her father. Meghan's relationship with her estranged father Thomas came under intense media scrutiny as soon as she and Prince Harry announced their engagement in November 2017. In May 2018, just days before the wedding, Thomas teamed up with Jeff Rayner from the Coleman Rayner Photography Agency in Los Angeles to stage photos related to Thomas's wedding preparations. Then, after the photo mishap with her dad, it seems that Thomas made it worse when he sold a private letter Meghan wrote to him. Meghan wrote a private letter to her dad pleading with him to stop cooperating with the press. In it, Meghan said she felt absolutely blindsided by the pain her father was puppeteered into creating by the media. Now, at the end of her letter, Meghan begged Thomas to please stop lying, please stop creating so much pain, please stop exploiting my relationship with my husband, and please stop taking bait from the press. But Thomas did the exact opposite. Now, he sold this letter to the Mail on Sunday, and the site published it for the world to see even more Markle family secrets. Now we have James Corden's behavior. In 2022, James Corden was exposed for being rude and demanding at a restaurant, and he was temporarily banned from there. In an Instagram post, Keith McNally, the owner of celebrity hotspot Balthazar, explained how James had berated his employees on multiple occasions and called the TV personality a tiny cretin of a human, and detailed 2 incidents of Corden's behavior as a customer. The first account claims that the talk show host was extremely nasty in his demands of Balthazar's manager, reportedly demanding the employee to take care of his drinks so that James would not write any nasty reviews on Yelp or anything like that. Now, another alleged outburst occurred when Corden was dissatisfied with his wife's omelet, and according to the Instagram post, he began yelling like crazy to the server, "You can't do your job, you can't do your job, maybe I should go into the kitchen and cook the omelet myself." Now, after this was revealed, the post went viral and James was forced to address the comments. James said, "The truth is, I have made a rude comment and it was wrong, it was an unnecessary comment, it was ungracious to the server." And since then, other people have spoken out about his unacceptable behavior. And to be honest, this doesn't surprise me, as I've always had a kind of weird feeling about him. Now hopefully now he realizes that manners and how you treat other people are important. And now the owner later rescinded his ban on James, explaining on Instagram that the late night star had called and apologized profusely to him and his staff. And finally, we have the college scandal. Lori Loughlin was convicted of conspiracy to commit fraud in 2020 and served 2 months in jail for her part in the 2019 admissions scandal. Now, in the scandal, wealthy parents paid bribes to get their children accepted into prestigious universities. Lori and her husband paid $500,000 to get their 2 daughters into the University of Southern California as members of the college rowing team, despite neither of the girls ever rowing before. Now, they even staged photos for this. Lori ended up being caught in the lies and pleading guilty to conspiracy to commit wire and mail fraud and was sentenced to 2 months in prison, receive a $150,000 fine, 2 years probation, and 250 hours of community service. Now, when she was first accused, she was fired from the Full House reboot, Fuller House, as well as from One Calls the Heart. Now, Felicity Huffman was also involved in the college admissions scandal along with her husband William H. Macy. Felicity made a so-called charitable contribution of $15,000 to participate in the college entrance exam cheating scheme on behalf of her eldest daughter, Sophia Grace May. Now, the Desperate Housewives actress and her husband then made arrangements to do the same for their younger daughter, but later decided against it. After she pleaded guilty to fraud charges, she was sentenced to 14 days in prison. She then had to publicly apologize for her role in the scandal, admitting that she paid to improve her daughter's SAT scores. Now, Felicity and Lori were among dozens of wealthy parents who were charged with participating in schemes to bribe coaches and university insiders or cheat on entrance exams. Well, that's all for our list of dark celebrity secrets that got them cancelled. Now, did you know about any of these secrets?
Not every couple in Hollywood is as starry-eyed as they might seem. Here are the top 10 celebrity couples hiding dark secrets. Starting off with whatever is going on with Ben Affleck and JLo, because everybody wants to know, are they getting a divorce? That is kind of the big question here. A bunch of celebrity gossip sites have been speculating for weeks that everything might not be as it seems between the married couple. Affleck has allegedly purchased his own home closer to the kids who live at Jennifer Garner's house. Affleck apparently has been living there for the past little bit without JLo. Sources close to the couple say Jennifer Garner is trying to encourage Ben to stay with JLo and work through any marital problems. Apparently, JLo and Ben were seen leaving Ben's daughter's graduation party together, heading to his place. But when they got there, JLo didn't stick around, getting out of one car and immediately into the next one. We don't know what happened, of course, we weren't in the car with them, but the move at the house didn't look good, and it only fueled more rumors that the couple is in trouble. Ben was spotted without his wedding ring at one point while he was on set filming for a movie. Apparently, new photos of the house the couple purchased together last year have been popping up on Zillow. Sources close to the couple claim that the famous pair are trying to quietly sell their house now. Other sources share that the couple is just simply working on their marriage and a separation has yet to happen. Ashton Kutcher and Mila Kunis tried to keep one big secret as hidden as possible, and for good reason. When it came out, they became a major disappointment to their fans and the internet in general. Kutcher and Kunis met and starred on That 70s Show together. They also starred in the show alongside Danny Masterson. Masterson was found guilty of acting inappropriately towards two women and has been sentenced to spend about 30 years behind bars for his behavior. This was amazing news to the average person. It was great news that he even got to trial. It seems the news wasn't so amazing to Kutcher and Kunis, as the pair had penned letters to the judge handling Masterson's case asking for leniency. The letters featured quotes from Kunis claiming Masterson was an outstanding role model and friend. The internet did not appreciate their efforts at all and was quick to put the actors in their place, so much so that they posted an apology video to Instagram. In the video, Kutcher said, "The letters were intended for the judge to read and not to undermine the testimony of any of the victims or re-traumatize them in any way. We would never want to do that, and we're sorry if that has taken place." Some said the apology was not strong enough and their actions were inexcusable. Former Hollywood it couple Britney Spears and Justin Timberlake held a pretty major secret for a long time until Britney recently shared it in her memoir. The pair were supposed to be parents. In her memoir, The Woman in Me, Britney shared that while she and Justin were dating, she got pregnant. Apparently, at the time, Justin didn't feel he was ready to be a father, so Britney had to terminate the pregnancy. However, Britney wanted the child. She was ready. In the book, she wrote, "If it had been left up to me alone, I never would have done it." Shortly following that up with, "To this day, it's one of the most agonizing things I have ever experienced in my life." It's made pretty clear that Britney wanted the child and felt forced into what ended up happening. This story took the internet by storm when it came out. Timberlake received a lot of criticism for it. People started looking back at the way Justin acted and spoke about Britney after their breakup. At the time, it wasn't very nice, but with the new info Britney dropped, it only makes JT look even worse. Adam Levine cheating on his wife was major news, especially since absolutely no one saw it coming. Levine seemed like the perfect, supportive, devoted husband, so it was incredibly shocking when the Maroon 5 singer was caught. Even more shocking, his wife and him are still together. Even more shocking than that, the affair was brought to light by his affair partner after Levine and his wife had announced his wife's third pregnancy. Yeah, the drama was like off the charts for this one. Levine denied cheating, but did release a statement about the whole situation saying, "I used poor judgment in speaking with anyone other than my wife in any kind of flirtatious manner. I did not have an affair. Nevertheless, I crossed the line during a regrettable period of my life. In certain instances, it became inappropriate. I have addressed that and taken proactive steps to remedy this with my family. My wife and my family is all I care about in this world. To be this naive and stupid enough to risk the only thing that truly matters to me was the greatest mistake I could ever make. I will never make it again. I take full responsibility. We will get through it, and we will get through it together." They did. They are still together. Levine's career, though, has suffered, likely due to this controversy. Barbara and Dylan Sprouse are one of the internet's favorite celebrity couples, so when he was accused of cheating on her this year, quite recently this year, hearts broke around the world. The pair married just under a year ago, but were together about 5 years. People love this couple because they seemed so happy and devoted to each other. Allegedly, Dylan cheated on Barbara with an underage girl, which makes all of this even worse. Dylan does have a past of cheating. He cheated on his last girlfriend, Dana Frazier. Fans are desperately hoping that this news isn't true and it is still actually technically unconfirmed. Hopefully, this was just someone trying to stir up some unnecessary drama. Ryan Reynolds and Blake Lively are hiding a pretty big secret. They know who is playing Lady Deadpool in the latest upcoming Deadpool movie, and I have a sneaking suspicion we all know too. It just came out that Lady Deadpool is going to be making an appearance in Deadpool and Wolverine. The newest movie teaser featured a slow-mo shot of what everybody assumes are Lady Deadpool's legs. Now, Ryan and Blake know for sure, and the rest of us are only 99% sure, that those legs belong to none other than Blake Lively, wife to Ryan Reynolds, and according to the creator of Lady Deadpool, Lady Deadpool's inspiration. How cool it must be for the people who created Lady Deadpool to have the person they based it on play the role live action. This info is coming straight from a caption Rob Liefeld, Lady Deadpool creator, wrote himself about the character. Until the movie is out, Blake and Ryan will probably keep the secret close to their chests, and July can't come fast enough. A small group of people on the internet believe Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift are hiding the darkest secret of all, that they are part of a massive Pentagon secret plot to get Biden re-elected. This is real, and I promise I am not making it up. It made headlines around when the Chiefs won the Super Bowl earlier this year. There is a link to be found between pop culture and voting. In the past, when Swift has posted on her social media accounts asking people to register to vote, there has been a recorded spike in voter registration, so their claims are not completely baseless, I guess. Some people add on to this theory that the Chiefs winning the Super Bowl was part of the plot, so the game was rigged for them to win. Possible believer of at least some parts of this theory, Mike Crispy, tweeted some insight into how it works. He wrote, "The NFL is totally rigged for the Kansas City Chiefs, Taylor Swift, and Travis Kelce, all to spread Democratic propaganda. Calling it now. KC wins, goes to Super Bowl. Swift comes out at the halftime show and endorses Joe Biden with Kelce at midfield. It's all been an op since day one." So it seems like part of this plan would be giving the Chiefs the win so Taylor could get on the field and have cameras on her that are broadcasting to all of America so she could endorse Biden. As we know now though, Taylor did not do any of that. Rihanna and A$AP Rocky have got something big in the shadows just waiting for the right opportunity to come out, Rihanna's new album. One can only assume that A$AP has heard a portion of it. Many people dating musicians get to hear at least a little bit of the work while it's in production, like Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift for example. Plus, both members of this relationship are great artists. Is there a possibility of a collab in the future? Rihanna teased her 9th album back in April this year while at a Fenty red carpet event. Speaking to Extra, Rihanna shared, "It's gonna be amazing. It has to be. That is the only reason it's not out yet." She even spoke on the potential of a collaboration, saying, "I'm not a big collaborator. It has to be very intentional, so I'll know when I have the record." No confirmed release date, but at least fans have a sure confirmation that Rihanna is working on something and won't release it until she's completely happy with it, so it's something to look forward to. Will Smith and Jada Pinkett Smith were holding a pretty major secret at the event that changed Will Smith's life, the 2022 Oscars. Will Smith performed the slap heard around the world after Chris Rock made a tasteless joke about Jada, after which Will headed back to his seat and yelled at Chris to keep his wife's name out of his mouth. But it turns out, as it would be revealed years later, that wife wasn't exactly the word he should have used, maybe, since he and Jada apparently were separated at the time. Jada shared with People that the actors had been living separately but not divorced for years before the incident occurred. The public knew that the couple had some rough moments over that period of time but had no idea it was that bad. Mark Wahlberg married American model Rhea Durham in 2009, and the pair are still together. However, Mark is hiding a surprisingly dark past, the kind of stuff that would get an actor for sure canceled nowadays. In 1986, Wahlberg and his friends had a civil rights injunction issued for them. The group was accused of yelling racially insensitive words towards a group of black children and even throwing physical objects at them and even chasing one of them. It seems Wahlberg didn't really learn anything from that civil rights injunction, considering 2 years later he committed an even worse transgression. He acted aggressively towards 2 Vietnamese men, cursing at one and knocking them unconscious with a large stick. The other he punched despite not knowing the victim. Wahlberg was jailed for this offense but was released 45 days into a 2-year sentence. A few years later, it is 1992, and Wahlberg's neighbor at the time became acquainted with Wahlberg's violent habits, the man needing a long visit to the hospital after. Wahlberg endorsed some anti-LGBTQ+ people on TV. It wasn't until about 2006 to 2010 that Wahlberg started coming out and saying he regretted his actions and was seeking forgiveness. So that was a lot of different types of secrets, so what do you think about all of them?
Starting off this countdown in no particular order, we've got Jon Hamm. Jon Hamm is most notably famous for his role in the hit television series Mad Men as a cutthroat advertising executive. What he may not want you to know about him, however, were his less than savory
ivory college days that landed him in some serious trouble. In 1990, Jon was arrested for his alleged role in a fraternity hazing that turned horribly violent. His fraternity house was even dissolved after Hamm and his friends harmed a pledge so violently that he was in the hospital, even going as far as to light him on fire. Jon was charged with a misdemeanor offense, and when he was asked about it in 2018, his response wasn't the best. Quote, "I was essentially acquitted. I wasn't convicted of anything. I was caught up in a big situation, a stupid kid in a stupid situation, and it was a bummer. I moved on from it." Okay, now we're moving on, I guess. And at number 9 is Richard Pryor, the iconic comedian who is often cited as direct inspiration for other comedy legends like Eddie Murphy and Dave Chappelle. Pryor changed the game. But what you may not know is that there was an extremely dark past behind the All Smiles comic. Richard grew up in an extremely unstable childhood, raised by a substance-using mother in a brothel in Illinois. Richard saw things that no child should ever have to see, and to cope with such a horrifying childhood, he also turned to substance use to self-medicate. Richard was married 7 times to 5 different women who had trouble with the comic's insatiable personal life. He even almost passed away at his own hand when he doused himself in rum and lit himself on fire while using substances. Pryor's friend even stated in an interview, quote, "He has about 13 personalities, and while you could deal with 9 of them, the other 4 are a nightmare." At number 8 is Billy Tipton. Billy Tipton, if you haven't heard of him, was a revered jazz musician who rose to fame in the 1940s and 1950s. He lived his life in relative normalcy outside of his celebrity status. Although he was never married, he did have 5 serious girlfriends, all of whom referred to themselves as Miss Tipton. Eventually, he settled down with a woman named Kelly, and they adopted 3 sons together. It wasn't until his death from a stomach ulcer in 1989 that, as he was being rushed to the hospital, his giant secret was uncovered. Billy Tipton was born a woman and had concealed his sex throughout his entire life, even from his relationships. The revelation came as, quote, "a shock to nearly everyone, including the women who had considered themselves his wives, as well as his sons and the musicians who traveled with him." To explain away any intimacy that would have happened between his partners, Billy reportedly said that he was in a serious car accident that mutilated his body, leaving him unable to perform. At the time this was revealed, it sent shockwaves through the music scene where trans performers were basically completely unheard of. And at number 7 is Prince. The iconic pop singer is considered one of the greatest musicians to have ever lived, but he also had a secret that was only uncovered upon his tragic and sudden death in 2016. After he passed, many stories started to come to light as both bank statements became public and from various sources. These bank statements revealed that Prince had been secretly donating insane sums of money to various charities throughout his life, each with the condition that the donation be private and that the donor be kept a secret. A few organizations that he did support in the days before his death were the Harlem Children's Zone and Uptown Dance Academy, New York. He even donated $12,000 to the Louisville Free Public Library in order to keep it from closing, all under the condition that they keep his name unlisted from donor records. He reportedly gave thousands away at a time, particularly to charities related to children, as his own child tragically passed away after only 6 days of life. He also focused on environmental issues, and uniquely, unlike a lot of celebrities who choose to invest so they get a financial return, Prince just donated to foundations that support environmental causes and a transition to solar power. Number 6, Jimmy Page. Jimmy Page is the virtuoso guitarist and founder of Led Zeppelin. Jimmy is largely known as one of the greatest guitarists in the history of rock music. I mean, he set the standard for the many who have imitated his electric style. Yet, what he may not want you to know about him is his predatory relationship with a young girl who was only 14 at the time. While he toured with Led Zeppelin, Jimmy dated Lori Maddox, although they kept their relationship extremely private and basically hidden because it was, you know, illegal and creepy. Even in the loose 70s, this relationship could have put Page in jail. They dated for a little while, and who knows what they did behind the scenes, but Jimmy eventually dumped her for BB Bell, who was of age at the time, thank God. Either way, not a fan of this one. And at number 5 is Matthew Broderick. Matthew Broderick is known largely for his titular role as Ferris Bueller in the John Hughes coming-of-age film Ferris Bueller's Day Off. He was also in The Producers and a bunch of other A-list movies. What you may not know about him, however, is that he was directly involved and in fact caused the death of numerous people. He and Jennifer Grey, the star of Dirty Dancing, were on a romantic vacation in Ireland when Matthew head-on hit the car of a 28-year-old woman and her mother. Both women were pronounced dead at the hospital. The road was straight and easy to navigate. The issue was that they were in Ireland, and he, out of habit, drove on the wrong side of the road, which led to the crash. Following the accident, Broderick was convicted of careless driving but was only fined $175 photos, which to this day the family of the victims called a quote travesty of justice. At number 4 is Jackie Chan. While Jackie Chan appeared as a comedic kung fu fighting man on the screen, his personal life is absolutely insane and surprisingly not well known. In fact, Jackie himself didn't know until well into his career just how many secrets were being kept in his family. He learned in 2003 that he had 2 secret brothers living in China and that his father was a nationalist spy on secret missions to bust substance crime in mainland China. In fact, that's where he met Jackie's mother. In what seems like a moment straight out of a noir crime boss movie, Jackie's father met his mother, Li Chan, because he was sent to bust her as an infamous dealer and legendary gambler in Shanghai. So, his mother was one of the lords of the Chinese underbelly, and his father was sent to arrest her. The two fled to Australia together, where they lived until their death. Jackie's father also revealed that the actor's real family name isn't Chan at all, but rather Fang. How's that for a family reunion? And at number 3 is Rose McGowan. Rose was one of the founding spokespersons in the Me Too movement, joining dozens of women who brought Harvey Weinstein to justice. She is best known for her 90s movies like Jawbreaker, Scream, and Encino Man. But what you may not know about her is her rather horrifying upbringing. She was born in Florence, Italy, where her parents lived in a commune called the Children of God. Basically, she was born into a cult that had mass allegations of horrifying crimes against humanity. I can't really say what they are because of YouTube restrictions, but if you're curious, I suggest you look into it with a serious content warning in mind. The cult in question lured people in with promises of all kinds of physical intimacy and activities with extremely young women set to perform such acts on the men in the cult. Luckily for Rose, she was largely protected from the more heinous side of the cult, and she and her family fled when she was 14 years old, where quote, "We hid in an old stone house and had to boil pots of water to take baths. The cult sent people to find us. I remember a man trying to break in with a hammer." Number 2 on the list, Rihanna. While the celebrity singer is in the news lately for her exciting pregnancy with A$AP Rocky, what you may not know about her is her rather insane early life, and the secrets that they kept even from her until they were finally brought to light. Old family photos were unearthed that reveal a secret side of the family that Rihanna herself rarely ever talks about: her father's other kids. Rihanna has 3 older siblings through her father by 3 different women, as he admitted to being quite the womanizer in his heyday. Her and her father have an extremely complicated relationship, as he has dealt with substance use issues for most of his life. And now to find out that she had 3 other siblings she knew nothing about, it's a wonder the two have stuck together through so much. And in at number 1 is Mark Wahlberg. The actor and singer needs no introduction, but he may need a little disclaimer beside his name for the rather horrifying incident he caused in the 80s. When he was 16 years old, Mark had an extremely harsh life, and he ended up brutally harming an elderly Vietnamese man in a racially motivated attack. He shouted slurs at him while physically harming him so badly that Mark was charged with attempted murder. While he was sentenced to 2 years in prison, for some reason he only served 45 days. In a beautiful show of faith, his victim, whose name is Johnny Trin, stated that he forgives Mark. Quote, "Everyone deserves another chance. He was young and reckless, but I forgive him now. He paid for his crime when he went to prison." Mark got a pardon from the court, basically exonerating him from his crime, an action that he later stated he regrets. Quote, "I didn't need that. I spent 28 years righting the wrong. I was relieved to find out that the injuries to his eye had occurred in the early 70s and not from the incident that happened that night, but I was able to meet with him and his wife and his daughter and apologize for these horrific acts."